Hello and welcome to ISTV News. I'm Subula Kangava. Let's look at the top stories. 9th session of the 10th Manipur Legislative Assembly begins. House intimated the status of two bills of which Assent President of India and Governor of Manipur have withheld. And now the news in detail. The 9th session of the 10th Manipur Legislative Assembly has begun today. The status of two bills which have been passed by the House but the Governor of Manipur and the President of India have withheld their assent was intimated during the first day of the session today. As the session was formally opened by Assembly Speaker T.H. Lokeshwar at 11 a.m., he took up the obituary reference first with regard to the demise of former member of the Manipur Legislative Assembly from 38 Yanglam Assembly constituency, Maibam Kunjo. The House stood in silence for 2 minutes to pay homage to the departed soul of the former member. Initiating the obituary reference, Chief Minister O. Ibobi expressed a profound sorrow at the demise of Maibam Kunjo and shared the grief of the family. His death is a great loss for the state and the country, the Chief Minister stated. Dr. I. Ibohalbi of Trinamool Congress said, late Maibam Kunjo had won the assembly election 4 times and became minister 2 times. He was a very soft-hearted leader who always put people's interests first before self. MLA Ilangbam Dizomani of Congress representing Yanglam Assembly constituency said, late M. Kunjo was related to him. He was a popular man. His death is a great loss for the people. MLA of Lok Jan Shakti Party, Karam Sham of Langthabal Assembly Constituency, MLA Paunam Rosen of Wangjing Tenta Assembly Constituency, MLA of Tangmaiban Assembly Constituency, K.H. Joykisan, MLA T.H. Shamkumbar of Andro Assembly Constituency, and Commerce and Industry Minister Govindas Konthaujam also took part in the obituary reference. Participating in the obituary discussion, Speaker Lokeshwar said, M. Kunjo was an honest man who always thought and acted for the welfare of the people. He shared the grief of the family, he said. Later, Chief Minister O. Ibobi laid 4 reports on power regulations on the table in the House. Secretary of Manipur Legislative Assembly intimated the House the status of bills which have been passed by the House in the previous session. He informed that the Governor of Manipur has withheld his assent from the Sri Sri Govindaji Temple 3rd Amendment Bill 2014. The President of India has also withheld his assent from the Manipur Protection of Depositor in Financial Establishment Bill 2012. However, the Manipur Appropriation No. 3 Bill 2014 has been assented on July 31st last. Similarly, the bills related to the salaries and allowances of the ministers and the MLAs have been assented. The Manipur Conservation of Paddy Land and Wetland Bill 2014 has also been assented. After the first session was over, Speaker Lokeshwar adjourned the session till 11 a.m. tomorrow. The session is being held for 3 days only. The second edition of Kambi Maigi Masasing, a Manipuri translation of the book Wings of Fire, written by the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Azad, was published at a simple function held at the Zen Bookshop, PC Jain Building, Thangal Bazar yesterday. The book has been translated into Manipuri by DIG Range 2, Dr. Soibam Ibocha. The Manipuri translation has been awarded the Sahitya Academy Translation Prize in 2013 and the Manipur State Kala Academy Award for Literature Translation in 2012. The book is available at the bookstalls at the ongoing book fair being held at Thao Ground and PC Jain Bookstore. PK Films' 5th production, Nang Nakapapak Today, a 35mm celluloid film, will be screened on December 23 in the ongoing 3rd Delhi International Film Festival. The film is produced by Thoyangba and Thongamba and directed by Dr. Makonmani Mungsaba. Late M.K. Binodini wrote the story of the film. Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Minister Francis Ngajopa has said that the role of youths is quite necessary in bringing about development in the society. He made this statement on the second day of the ongoing 5th Manipur Catholic Youth Convention at Christ Jyoti School, Mantripukri, organized by Manipur Catholic Youth Organization. The convention commenced yesterday. MLA of Chandal Assembly Constituency, Victor Nunglung, Reverend Dominic Lumon and many youths attended the convention. The minister further said, youths are the pillar of the nation. If the pillars are cracked, then a developed society could not be brought about.
May not be, but because human beings as we are weak. Human beings as we are suspicious. Human beings as we are zealous of others. Human beings as we want to improve. Human beings as we want to be better than others. Human beings as we don't want others to be above us. Human beings as we are subject to all types of weaknesses. But we have got also all types of strength that is available to any human being on earth.
And now moving on to national and international news. Attacking the ruling BJP on religious conversions, a united opposition today demanded a statement from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was present in the Rajya Sabha. Opposition parties led by the Congress insisted that PM Modi must reply to a discussion on rising instances of communal violences in the country, forcing repeated adjournments. Congress leader Anand Sharma accused the government of displaying arrogance by not agreeing to their demand. The opposition cannot dictate who will reply to a debate, said Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, the leader of the House, asserting that Home Minister Rajnath Singh, not PM Modi, would respond to the discussion. Mr. Jaitley said the Lok Sabha was functioning smoothly while the Rajya Sabha was not, and this indicated arrogance of numbers, not the arrogance of the government. Left MP Sitaram Yechuri shot back that the Lok Sabha was functioning because of tyranny of majority. The government has faced protest in the Rajya Sabha, where it is in a minority since the mass conversions of nearly 60 Muslim families in Agra in Uttar Pradesh last week, allegedly by groups linked to the BJP's ideological mentor Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangha (RSS). Sources say the BJP has decided that it will not give an inch on the demand for PM Modi's statement on religious conversions after an assessment that the repeated calls for an intervention by the PM is an attempt to build a perception that he is not in control of members of his party and the government. India's space agency today successfully launched its heaviest rocket ever, the 630-ton 3-stage geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle Mark III, with an experimental crew module. The mission will take the Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO a step closer to sending astronauts to space. Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted, "Successful launch of GSLV Mk3 is yet another triumph of brilliance and hard work of our scientists. Congrats to them for the efforts." After its blast off from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh, the 42.4 m expandable rocket ascended to the sky with a one-way ticket, as its design lifespan is just around 5 minutes. The 160 crore rupees mission tests the rocket's atmospheric flight stability powered by 2 engines with around 4-ton luggage. The GSLV Mk3 is a new rocket designed and also marks the beginning of what could be India's initiation into the ambitious human space in flight program. Its main passenger is an Indian-made 3.7-ton crew module, expandable of taking 2 or 3 astronauts to space. Taliban gunmen who stormed a school in northwest Pakistan toyed with captive students by suggesting some could be let go before lining them up and gunning them down in front of their classmates, according to a new account by survivors. Militants rampaged through an army-run school in Peshawar and killed at least 141 people on Tuesday, almost all of them children. Pakistan is in mourning over the attack, the bloodiest in the nation's history, which brought international condemnation and promises of a stern crackdown by political and military leaders. Previous accounts by witnesses have indicated a pattern of indiscriminate firing on students, with those fortunate enough to survive playing dead while the attackers moved on. But Swanas Khan, a 14-year-old who was being treated in a Peshawar hospital for 2 bullet wounds to his shoulder, said the attackers also engaged in sadistic games. Jayalalithaa, the Tamil Nadu leader who has appealed against her conviction in a corruption case, will remain on bail till April, the Supreme Court said today. Ms. Jayalalithaa, 66, spent 3 weeks in a Bangalore prison before being granted bail by the top court in October. The verdict that found her guilty of corruptions during her first term as Chief Minister in the early 90s ended her third term as the head of the Tamil Nadu government. She was disqualified as a lawmaker and picked loyalist O. Pannirselvam as her replacement. While granting her bail, Supreme Court judges had ordered the politician to ensure that all documents relevant to her appeal against her conviction were filed by mid-December in the Karnataka High Court. The instruction was aimed at ensuring the leader's lawyer would not try to stretch out the process of appeal, allowing her to remain outside jail. The judges stressed that her trial had lasted nearly 2 decades and the case against her must be dealt with swiftly. The Shiv Sena MLA Harshavardhan Jadhav has been booked for allegedly slapping a police officer who is part of Uday Thackeray security detail at the hotel in Nagpur late on Wednesday. The police said the officer Parag Jadhav was on duty outside the hotel room where Shiv Sena Chief Uday Thackeray was holding a meeting with some party legislator. Harshavardhan Jadhav reportedly tried to enter the room and when he was stopped by the policeman, allegedly slapped him. The legislator was not available for comment, Press Trust of India reported. Harshavardhan Jadhav is an MLA from Aurangabad in central Maharashtra. The Supreme Court today ordered the removal of a senior judge accused of sexually harassing a women judge in Madhya Pradesh from administrative and supervisory work and set a panel appointed by the state Chief Justice to investigate the allegation was illegal. The court also asked the Chief Justice of India to set up a new panel to examine the sexual harassment charge against the judge and said the Madhya Pradesh Chief Justice had gone beyond his authority in constituting the 2-member panel. The women had moved the top court alleging that the pro-panel appointed by the state high court was not fair. She said the Chief Justice of India should appoint a committee of 4 members to investigate her allegation. Intense cold wave conditions accompanied by snowfall have left 24 people dead in Uttarakhand, officials said on Thursday. Officials in the hill state of Uttarakhand said 2 people have died in Haldwani, 3 in Nainital, 6 in Bhimtal and Bageshwar areas, while nearly 13 died due to inclement weather in the Kumaon region since Tuesday. Snowfall was witnessed in Bageshwar and Almora, both districts of the foothills of Himalayas. These places have never experienced such weather in mid-December. The United States will restore full diplomatic relations with Cuba and open an embassy in Havana for the first time in more than a half-century after the release of an American contractor held in prison for 5 years, U.S. officials said on Wednesday. In a deal negotiated during 18 months of secret talks, hosted largely by Canada and encouraged by Pope Francis, who hosted a final meeting at the Vatican, President Barack Obama and President Raul Castro of Cuba agreed in a telephone call to put aside decades of hostility to find a new relationship between the United States and the island nations just 90 minutes off the U.S. coast. And before we wind up, the top stories once again. 9th session of the 10th Manipur Legislative Assembly begins. House intimated the status of 2 bills of which Assent President of India and Governor of Manipur have withheld. Thank you for joining with us. Have a great day.